morning and welcome back to North Dakota today. So we have an amazing performance. We're going to talk a little bit about why the show was rescheduled. The rescheduled performance, it was due to some of the mechanical issues. But really, what does the name Shen Yun mean? Well, Shen means drive and Yun means to the essence. And together the two words and another meaning the beauty of divine brings dancing. So where is Shen Yun based? Well, it's formed and based in New York, and it's been going on since 2006. So here we have joining us someone to talk us a little bit more about the show. Hi,
Phoenix.
How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good. Okay, well, I just have a few questions for you. I kind of went over it a little bit, but Shen Yun, is that the proper way to pronounce it?
Yes,
Oh,
Sun Yun.
beautiful. And then I'll talk
Yes,
a little bit more about the meaning. Would you mind just telling us if I was right? I believe it means like the beauty of or divine of dancing. Is that correct?
right. So the Chinese characters are very interesting where it's ideograms. So the first character, Sun means the divine, and then Yun means the essence or the bearing. And then together it forms another meaning, which means the beauty of the divine beings dancing. That's Sun Yun.
All right, let's just take it back from the beginning of how this performance started. Where is it based out of?
It's based out of New York. It started in New York in 2006 by a bunch of Chinese artists because they're not allowed to have artistic freedom in China.
Wow.
So they had to form this dance company in New York, unfortunately.
Yeah, so absolutely. You know, oh man, it's such beautiful. I did ballet, and I just absolutely, we're seeing just videos of some of those performers, and they are just absolutely, completely talented. So us here in the West, our audiences, just to better understand the show, just tell me a little bit about the Chinese culture and how this show just enhances that.
Okay, the Chinese been around for 5,000 years. And when you see Sun Yun, you'll see about 18 pieces when you go see it at Chester Fritz next week. It'll feature folk dances, ethnic dances. The Chinese has 50 different ethnic minorities, believe it or not. And so they'll feature different ethnic dances. And then they also showcase a bunch of traditional folk tales and stories. And then also the Chinese had 20 dynasties. So they'll feature different dynastic dances from the different dynasties because each dynasty brings their own dance form and costume. So you'll see the whole gamut of traditional Chinese culture live on stage. So it's very exciting.
So do you guys hit the road? Do you guys go to several different locations here, or?
For North Dakota, we're just coming to Chester Fritz,
Mhm.
but they've been traveling since August. There are 7 troops that travels around the world. So there's a troop in Europe right now, and there are 2 or 3 troops that's in North America. And there were 7 troops at one point in time before the pandemic that they were traveling all around the world. And the only place they can't play is in China, sadly.
Wow. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I appreciate you being able to share your culture with us here in North Dakota. So were you a dancer yourself before?
Only in high school. So, and like you said, you're a ballet dancer. You understand the discipline that goes into it. So, yes. So,
Absolutely. Well, how was
yeah.
that traveling during the show during the pandemic? Did you guys do virtual shows or what did you guys do during 2020? Just trained, I'm
No,
sure.
I'm just a volunteer, by the way, Phoenix,
Uh-huh.
and I'm out of Salt Lake City. So they just stayed in New York and in practice. They didn't start back up until last August. Yeah.
Okay, well, what keeps you going? You're volunteering your time with this organization. What for you, what was the motivation between staying here with this performance?
Well, because obviously I'm ethnically Chinese, and I was brought up in Salt Lake City, and I didn't want to have anything to do with my cultural heritage. And I realized as I was growing up that if now I have 2 boys, that if I don't teach where I came from, with the traditional culture and traditional values, my boys would never know who they are. And what I also, like I mentioned, I grew up in Utah. I realized that the Western culture isn't that much different from the Chinese culture. We all look different, but our values about family, about hard work, about community, they're all the same. And that's kind of the message that Sun Yun's trying to convey, those universal values of truthfulness, kindness, compassion, integrity, honor. Those are universal values. And I think that's why it's so popular in the West.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your culture with us here in North Dakota. Well, again, if you want to check out Shen Yun, it will be at that Chester Fritz as Auditorium in Grand Forks on March 2nd. Tickets are available online at shenyun.com. Well, coming up today on the North Dakota Day, we're going to need to start getting your things in order now. Our next guest can help you all out with that. Sounds exciting.